Welcome to the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. I'm your host, Robin L. Owens, PhD, and this is where we dive in each week to give advice, tools, and tips for high-achieving, purpose-minded women who've written nonfiction books and want to amplify their message beyond the book. I'm a college professor, and when I'm not doing that, I am speaking, coaching, mentoring, and teaching high-achieving women who have written books how to use their books to make a bigger difference, have more impact, and purpose. Okay, let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. I'm so glad that you're here and listening into the podcast. Really appreciate you. And if you've been appreciating the podcast, I ask you to go ahead and subscribe and even submit a review, and that will really help us grow. Now, today, I'm talking with Davina Frederick. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Davina. Davina is the founder and CEO of Wealthy Woman Lawyer, which is a strategic growth planning and coaching company, and it helps women law firms owners scale their law firm businesses. She is the host of, guess what? The Wealthy Woman Lawyer podcast, the top podcast for women in law in the U.S. And she's a two-time author of the books, The Wealthy Woman Lawyer's Guide to Law Firm Marketing in the Virtual Era or Virtual World. She'll tell you more about
Virtual
that.
Age.
Virtual Age. And the second one is The Wealthy Woman Lawyer's Guide to Building a Systems-Driven Law Firm Business. So for almost 10 years, she has devoted her time to helping other women law firm owners create their own wealth-generating law firm businesses. Welcome, Davina Frederick.
Thank you, Dr. Robin. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
I'm so glad you're here. I'm so looking forward to talking to you and hearing all about what you're doing. Now, I just read your bio and sort of, formally, but why don't you just tell us in your own words about who you are first and then about the work you do?
Thank you. So I am a Florida licensed attorney. I've been an attorney going on 16 years now. Before I became an attorney, I was in marketing, professional services marketing for about 15 years. And I got an opportunity to change careers, and I went to law school and graduated around the age of 40 and opened my own law practice right out of law school. I grew that successfully, and I had women lawyers were reaching out to me and asking me, how did you do that? And so that's how I got into coaching other women law firm owners. But when I started this coaching business in 2013, I did it to help professional service business owners. But over time, I niched down and I rebranded a few years ago to be Wealthy Woman Lawyer and focused specifically on women law firm owners. But women law firm owners have been my clients since day one. I just had some other professional service business owners in there as well. So that is the short version of how I got to coaching and creating the Wealthy Woman Lawyer business. We help women law firm owners develop a growth strategy to grow their law firm business to and through $1 million. And we coach them through that process and support them as they're going through that process. So that is basically what we do.
I love that. There's so much about that story that I know you were giving us the short version, but let me just go back a little bit. Okay. All right. And I love that you switched gears around age 40. Now, tell us, was it your plan to start your own business at the time you made the switch?
It was. So I had, like I said, I'd been in marketing for 15 years. I had worked for engineering firm, the largest law firm in Central Florida. I'd worked for an agency. We had clients all over the world. But I met my now husband, and he was somebody who had been a friend of mine for years. And then we became romantically involved. And he always inspired me because he was an entrepreneur. He had his own business, and I just loved the time freedom and the flexibility that he had in his schedule and a lot of the things I liked about being an entrepreneur. And the time came and there was an opportunity for me to go to law school. He and I got married, and he said, do whatever you want. And I said, I'm going to go to law school, which, sometimes I look back on that and go, what was I thinking? But I did. And I went with the intention of starting my own law firm business right out of law school. And I did do that. And it was a challenge. I would not recommend a brand new lawyer to do that. I thought I've already had been in the business world for many years. I'm an expert in marketing. I know how to get business easy breezy, right? It was not easy breezy because the part I forgot about is I had to learn how I was a baby lawyer at age 40, and I had to learn how to be a good lawyer and also learn how to run a business, which is an entirely different kind of thing. So I made all the mistakes. And now what I do is I teach people from my place of I made these mistakes, here's how to avoid them and not make these mistakes yourself. So I learned so much by investing in myself, my career, in coaching and having mentorship and good coaches. And it really was life changing for me and how I was able to operate a business. And so once I kind of figured these things out, I just felt compelled to share it with other women business owners, and in particularly other women lawyers. So that's how the coaching business sort of evolved out of that. But I've had three separate careers, basically marketing, lawyer, and now in the coaching world. So, but this business also evolved out of my dissatisfaction with the legal world and kind of the day-to-day work of it, and me looking for something that would combine sort of all my years of experience and skills I had developed through those careers. So it's very much the marketing, the writing, the strategic thinking, all of those things are common threads throughout my career. And so this is just another version of that, an iteration of that for me. I'm using my writing skills, my communication skills, my strategic thinking skills, and all of that comes together. And of course, my love of learning and then sharing with other people what I learn, which is really who I am. If you ask who I am as a person, I am somebody who's definitely a lifelong learner. And I love to have great conversations with people about things that I learn and things that they learn that they can share with me.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And it's
Thank
like
you.
you are connecting the dots all along, and now you have this fully formed picture of who you are today, and you get to express that.
Right. And who knows, I may become like a, you know, skydiving instructor in the future or something. Probably
Yeah,
not that, but
yeah, it's always evolving. Life is always kind of moving us
right,
forward, right? And this is the picture for this moment in time. But
right,
it
exactly,
brings together all the connection of the dots from the past moments in time. I love that.
exactly.
So I imagine it's really rewarding for you, given that you get to do all those aspects of use all those aspects of yourself in your work.
It is. And for me, what I really love is I really love seeing my clients get the results that they do because they're coming to me from a place of they're proud of what they've done and they're high achieving, hardworking women. That's what got them there. All that investment in education and skills and everything that it took to get them there. And they start their firms and they realize at some point they don't know quite what it is when they start working with me usually, but hard work, all the things that led them to be high achieving, all that hard work, those long hours they put in themselves, that won't get them to and through $1 million and creating a multi-million-dollar firm. What takes them to the next level is learning how to be a leader and learning how to inspire other people around their mission and their purpose and learning how to run and grow $1 million, multi-million-dollar law firm. So that requires, instead of me doing it all myself, which is what gets us to that point of being an attorney, is our hard work. If we want $1 million practice, we just can't do it by ourselves. We have to have a team of people. We have to be a leader. We have to inspire others to join our cause and our mission and all of that. And so that's really the part for me that I love to see is I love to see the transformation that occurs from their thinking when they start with me to the point where they achieve their goals and whatever level they start at and whatever level they achieve that next level is to see that change in their thinking and their transformation into somebody that they didn't know that they could be.
Yeah, yeah. So now when they come to you, because you talked about helping them move forward in this sort of leadership role and building out the teams, do they typically come with a mission in mind?
No, they typically, well, their mission is to have a successful business, right? So there's the larger purpose or the larger mission usually isn't there. They have a vision for a future. They have a vision for maybe it's a fantasy, right, of what the ideal life will look like once I have arrived or achieved. Some of them just come from struggle bus. I mean, they're just in a place of, I started getting clients and now I'm buried with work and I don't know how to get out and I'm working all the time and I'm not making as much money as I should be making, or I'm working all the time and I'm making money, but I'm so burned out that I don't care that I'm making money. So there's all different ways, positions that they're in when they're coming to start to work with me. But many have an idea of, I want to travel the world. I want to travel internationally. I want to spend more time with my kids while they're young or while they're teenagers and they need me. Or I want to live in a certain kind of house or build a home or renovate my kitchen or whatever it is. And I'm so busy working and I'm not making enough money. I thought I would be making enough money at this point, but it's not enough to do the things that I want to do. And for me, one of the things that I bring to their awareness oftentimes is the elder years, the retirement years. And most of them say, I'm not going to retire. And I'm like, well, you're wrong, because at some point there will hit a point where you'll probably not want to work as much as you do. And most of them go, yeah, well, that's now. I don't want to work as much as I do. So helping them create a safety net for the future and financial freedom for the future is also kind of my agenda that I bring and bring awareness to that, which is why it's Wealthy Woman Lawyer. It's really about creating a life of prosperity that opens up more doors and opportunities for you and for your loved ones and for the people who work for you. And then you also have a greater impact in the world, because you can, if you have a bigger team and systems driven business, then you are able to serve more people who need great lawyers like you and great law firms like you, because there's so many people out there with need, that there is a bigger picture when we go to law school. Some of us go and say, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money, and that's the purpose. But the majority of people that I've met who've gone through law school, they are driven by a want, a desire to serve people and impact lives. And many of them have stories of, this happened in my family and I never want it to happen to other people again. So I've had clients who said, my father was in prison and I sat there in that courtroom at Christmas and the judge says he's not going home with you, and so I never wanted that to happen again. Or people who said, when somebody passed away in my family, I saw the division that it caused in my family, and I want to make sure that doesn't happen to other families. So there is a mission there for them, but most of them don't have it. They don't connect it to growing the business. That's really what it is. It's like they want to be servant leaders. They want to serve other people, but they don't realize that the more successful your business is, the more resources you will have to serve even more people and have a bigger impact. So that's really what my mission is to help them connect those dots to aspire to more, not just because it benefits them, but also because it helps them carry out what's in their heart.
Yes, and I love that. Help them carry out what's in their heart as impulse for mission. Yeah, I think it's really important work that you're doing. I think it's unique. I mean, it's not something you see every day. You might see more of it in your circles, but I just think it's very important work. And so you're wearing a couple of hats. And so let's focus now on your other hat, this author hat. This season of the podcast, I've been focusing on high achieving women like yourself and speaking to high achieving women to support each other. And so lots of us in different areas of life and work and business have written books. So I thought, let's speak to the author part of us, because it's almost like an add-on. We're doing all these three other things. And by the way, I wrote a book.
Definitely.
Which to the masses is not a by the way, but because high achieving women have all these other roles, it's almost just like a side thing that's almost taken for granted, right? But for the average person, it's a big deal. And so I thought, well, why don't we encourage those of us who have these businesses and we're authors and speak to that part of each other. So we're all kind of encouraging each other in that part of it. And so I see you've written two books. So tell us again the names of the books. You can tell us about the first one and then tell us about the second one, since they're sort of a companion piece, it seems. Yeah.
Yeah, I will. And so, and I'm actually working on a third. So this series of books. It's designed to be a series of books that really go a little bit deeper into the framework that I teach my clients. Of course, when you're my client, we go deep into the framework and you learn that, but it's to give other people an idea of when I'm talking about marketing, when I'm talking about systems, this is what I mean in terms of a law firm. And so I go into detail in the book, and these really are how-to books. They are may not be sexy to people who aren't in the industry, but if you own a law firm, you're like, I want to read this book because it's going to help you grow your business. And I really get into how to. I don't hold a lot of things back and just talk about the what and the why. I really get into the how in my books. But the first one is The Wealthy Woman Lawyer's Guide to Law Firm Marketing in the Virtual Age. And it's 10 bold actions to take now to attract your ideal clients with total ease. I wrote this. This is my first book I wrote. And by the time I wrote it, because it had been floating around, in my Dropbox for years as pieces and parts. And I hired a coach who was coaching me in my business growth and strategy. And he encouraged me to write a book and helped me with the publication of this book. And by the time I wrote it, I had advanced beyond where this book is in my thinking. So it was a very interesting experience for me because I had already written pieces and parts of the years. And then over time, I grew as a business owner and as a CEO thinker. And so once I got the book out, it was almost like that was me, a few years ago. But I've had a lot of good feedback on the book because I wrote it for law firm owners. Lawyers get a lot of people who reach out to us and say, let me help you market your business, get more clients, get more leads. And it can be very confusing because the word marketer can mean SEO person, or it can mean a Google ad person, or it can mean a social media manager or a blog writer. All kinds of people call themselves marketers. And so what I wanted to do was provide a framework for law firm owners where they can sit and develop their own marketing strategy. And they can choose from, I've got several different options for marketing with key considerations. So they can look at and go, what's the pro and what's the con? And does that work for me, my law firm, my clients, my strategy, my geographic location, all of those things? So I really give them a framework for coming up with their own strategy that fits their particular law firm. And then then they can seek out these vendors, or when a vendor comes to them, they can say, oh, I was looking for somebody like you. Or they could say, not right now, because I'm working on a strategy that involves these 3 types of tactics, right? So that it was meant to be kind of a shield for lawyers, to say, this is going to help me to have conversations with all these people who are coming at me with marketing ideas so I can avoid the confusion. I can get clear on what I want for my law firm. And then I can let them know, that I'm looking for help and go from that place. Right. So that was the first book. The second book I wrote I think I came out the next year, was The Wealthy Woman Lawyer's Guide to Building a Systems-Driven Law Firm Business, 7 essential systems you need to take back your time, avoid burnout, and create lasting wealth. I wrote this book because every law firm owner wants systems. I need better systems, especially if you're going to grow and you're going to get other people taking over parts of the things that you used to do as a solo attorney. You need a systematic way for work to flow in and out of your office. And you need it to be able to communicate it in such a way that you could train other people. And oftentimes when lawyers say to me the word systems, I need a system, they think of case management systems. Case management systems deal with the lawyering part, which is fulfillment, is how we do the legal services. And they think that is the system. And what I'm saying to them is, no, no, no. There are 7 essential systems to run a law firm business. There are 4 external systems and there are 3 internal systems. And you need to know all of these systems. And over time, you need to make progress in setting up and advancing each of these systems to have a fully functional law firm business that's going to allow you to take more time off, go on longer vacations. If you get sick and something happens to you, the law firm will continue to be a wealth generating machine without your day-to-day involvement in the operations. So that's kind of the promise of that if you master these 7 essential systems. So not really glamorous, sexy books, but really helpful and great. I wish I had had these kind of tools when I started my own law firm. And that's, a lot of why I created why I did is because it didn't exist for me when I, wanted something like that. I had wonderful lawyer mentors who were great mentors in helping me be a better lawyer, but I didn't have anyone who really said, how do I operate this business in a way that doesn't burn me out? Because that's what happened with my first law firm. I got very burned out very quickly because I was trying to do too much.
Mm, yes, yes. And what you're saying, I'm sure it resonates with also people, women who are not lawyers, but just have their own business, who are consultants and whatever,
Right.
coaching and speakers. Everything that you're talking about, I can see these universal principles across businesses.
Right.
And I love the way your thinking evolved and you captured it. So when you're at the first phase, which is kind of speaks to the early phase of businesses and growing and ideal market and all that. And then when they grew enough to now it's time to move on, you wrote a book for the next phase of business. I love
Right.
that.
Right.
You allowed yourself to progress and then you captured that and share it with people. So now tell us
Right.
about the third one. Can you give us a sneak preview?
Yes, the third, I know if so I'm a self-published author, but I have a publisher, an independent publisher who helps me publish these books. So it's not HarperCollins, right? It's something that I'm doing because it is a mechanism to help me communicate my ideas with people who might want to work with me. But the third book is a departure. So I teach a framework for scaling your law firm business, and you hit the nail right on the head. The first part is attracting better clients. If we don't have the right clients that we're working with, we're not going to be satisfied. We're not going to be making enough money to invest in the people and the systems, which is the next piece, right? And then the third piece is mastering your money. So this book is a little bit out of order. The next logical book would have been a book around hiring people, which is it's on my schedule. But this book is around amassing wealth with multiple income streams. So it's still a wealthy woman lawyer's guide. It's as you're making this money and you've created this wealth generating business, how can you, first of all, turn your law firm into a more passive income stream for yourself by pulling yourself out of the day-to-day operations and having other people run it? And also, what other passive income opportunities are there out there for you to invest your wealth? Because my overarching goal is not just to help women law firm owners build a business. I want them to build a business that runs itself and not them. And I want them to become wealthy. And so this book really is about what do we do as we start making this money? And it's kind of the things that I wish had been available to me, or I wish I had known when I were much younger, because, I made all the mistakes in terms of not investing early and often and all of those. So what I'm doing is showing them ways. And I also think we're living in an age now where there's so much opportunity just because of the technology advancements that we've had, that people can make more passive income and develop multiple income streams. So not all of them, it's degrees of passive, right? So some are going to be more passive than others. So to give you an example, I do private one-on-one coaching, which is not passive at all. It requires a lot of time and investment on my part and my client's part. And then I developed a group coaching program that has courses in it. And that is still not 100% passive because I'm doing the group coaching, but the model eventually is there will be other coaches, other attorney coaches coaching other attorneys in that, and just the courses themselves. So there are all kinds of ways. And then there are things like, the stock market or real estate. There are passive ways to invest in real estate. So it's a way of just showing people that here's some ideas, because a lot of women law firm owners are invested in other things. They're having conversations with me about wealth and money and what do we do and all that. So this is kind of just it's something to excite people about that concept and really help keep them focused on that. The more resources you have, the bigger impact you can make in the world and the more you can do the things that are so important to you because you don't have those restrictions. And so this is another step in that path.
Yeah, I love it that it's a journey. You're going
Yeah.
on the journey with them, and through books, you're guiding them, and through all the other programs that you're doing. I think
Yeah.
that's wonderful. All right. So now, as I mentioned before, the person that's listening to the podcast, I'm imagining high achieving women, authors, CEOs, business owners, consultants, women who are doing all the things, are responsible in every area of their life, professionally and personally. They're the ones that people come to them and look for advice, support, help, and all that kind of stuff. But with their author role in mind, what's some advice you can give to the woman I just described? It could be professional advice or personal advice. I've heard you talk about helping alleviate burnout and that kind of thing. So dig down into your experience and expertise and pull out anything that might be supportive to the woman that I just
Well,
described.
lawyers, we love to wax, pontificate, all of those. We love it when people ask us for advice. But I would say the first piece of advice I would have is for high achieving women. You can have it all, but you cannot do it all. And so you need to get out of the doing and get into the reviewing or the leading, getting other people involved in what you're doing so that you can reach more people with your mission, whatever that is. And I think one of the issues with high achieving women, because all my clients are high achieving women, I'm one, we get caught up in perfectionism, we got caught up in hard work, all of those things, and all of the doing. And so we think that I can't teach somebody else this. It's all in my head. I have to do it. I'm the best person for every job in my business. And it's just not true. You're probably the best person for maybe one, maybe two jobs in your business, and the rest of it needs to be done by somebody else. And so however your career is evolving, whether you're working for a company, a corporation, and working up the C-suite, or whether you have a business and you're an entrepreneur, keep in mind. And also, if you have a partner at home and you have children at home, all of those things are screaming for attention. And give yourself some grace and say, I don't need to be the one doing all the things. My children will not look back and say, mommy was a terrible mommy because she didn't do the laundry. Hire somebody to do your laundry. There are services who can do laundry, right? So hire somebody to cook a couple of nutritious meals a week and give yourself a break. It doesn't have to be you. Put more on your partner, put more on your kids as they're growing up. It doesn't have to be you being the doer. And I think a lot of times women, particularly high achieving women, you always say, if you want something done, ask a busy person. Well, I say ask a busy woman, right? Because we just do it all. But as you get older, it has been my experience that first of all, I don't want to do it all. And secondly, I don't have the time or energy. Like I don't have the energy for it anymore. I want to prioritize my health and well-being. So I'm going to make more time for exercising, working out, meditation, these kinds of things. And I'm going to get help in other areas that are things that I'm not the best at. I actually worked as a bookkeeper for a year between my college days. And so I know how to be a bookkeeper. I hate bookkeeping. Somebody else is going to do the bookkeeping in my business. So stop trying to do everything yourself. That would be the first piece of advice. And that was a long-winded way of saying that. As an author, as a writer, if you want to publish a book and write a book, the thing that really helped me because I've been a professional writer my whole life. My degree is in journalism, and I've written many articles and had things published. And I learned how to be a blog writer. I've learned how to be a professional copywriter. I've learned how to write legal, research and writing and briefs and things like that. Every type of writing is different and requires different training and different skill sets. What helped me finally get to the point of a book, because I'm a quick article girl. Like I want to write it, get it done and out. And so the book to me seemed sort of daunting, even though I knew I had lots of ideas and things I wanted to say. So there's a couple things. One is hire someone to be your guide and help you. My coach really helped me get the ideas out on paper in an outline form that made sense to me. And so I've turned to him all 3 times and helping me sort of get that process, get it out of my head, get in an outline. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this is organized. Now I can do this. The other thing is I listened to an earlier podcast of yours where somebody said they attempted to hire a ghostwriter, and I attempted that as well. For me, it also was not the experience. I've tried that a couple of times. It hasn't worked. So I just have to go in and make it my own. And that requires discipline and just butt in chair, doing the work and just saying, this is something that's important enough to me to make it a priority. That's the challenging part for busy people and high achieving people. So, but you have to decide what's important to you. If it's that important to you, then you'll make time for it and you will do it. But hire somebody to help you with the process and encourage you, and anything that can help you, any sort of methodology or framework that can help you, it is going to be useful, even if you don't get it done in the time frame that you set while you're working with that particular person. And the other thing is you have to let go of perfectionism, because I will tell you, this first book has the very first thing that happened after we had a whole team who was editing, proofreading, whatnot. I got the printed version. I opened it up and there was a typo right in the table of contents. Then I started going through and looking for typos and mistakes, and there's things throughout the book. And I'm horrified because I've been a professional editor. And so details matter to me. They matter to me as a lawyer. They matter to me as a writer, as an editor. So I was horrified by this. And it also, in the big scheme of things, was not the priority for me in my business. The purpose of my business and making money in my business, serving my clients in my business, me going back and nitpicking these details and going back to the team and saying, redo this whole thing. I didn't have the time to sit and go through the book and mark them all out, just send them back to them. Like, it just wasn't a high priority. So you have to let go of perfectionism. As an avid reader, I have picked up many books, even published by famous publishing houses, and there have been mistakes in them. And so let it go, let it go. So we're going to do the Disney movie. We're going to let it go, and like Elsa, and say it's okay, because the important thing to me is the lives that I change by people who read this. And if somebody's going to pick it up and go, oh, typo, I'm not going to read this, then they're not meant to learn from me or be my client or whatever it is, right? And they'll find another teacher.
Yes, I resonate with everything you said, and I'm imagining so does everybody else who's listening at this moment. Absolutely. Okay, so now the podcast is Leadership Purpose. In your opinion, is it important to have a sense of purpose in your work? And if so, why not? Why not?
I think having a purpose in your work is important to human beings, right? So I think as a human being, you enjoy your work and you feel more satisfied with your career if you do it from a place of purpose that is larger than you. So those who are dissatisfied in their career may be out of alignment with their purpose, right? So for me, being a lawyer is a purpose-driven career, but the clients I had and the work I was doing was not a compelling enough purpose for me to get excited about it every day and go do it. But there are a lot of my clients who are fantastic lawyers, and they love, and in different practice areas, if they were in another practice area, they would hate it. So people who find their sort of calling and something that they're passionate about doing, that when they're doing it, time flies, are going to be more satisfied. And if you're not satisfied, keep searching for that. Keep searching for that purpose, and think about it. It doesn't mean that you can't be, sometimes a job's a job, and we just need to say, this is a job and I do this and it pays my bills and my rent and I'm fine. I'm not dissatisfied. And that's fine too. You don't have to set the world on fire. But if there is something that does compel you, and make you feel at one with spirit or whatever it is, make you feel engaged, satisfied, and like you would do it if nobody paid you, then pursue that. But also, if what you are passionate about and have a purpose about isn't something that you can make enough money to pay your bills, don't knock yourself for it. Pursue your passion as a hobby. Not everything has to be a business. And this is something, as a serial entrepreneur, I've had many businesses, that I had to learn the hard way. It's like, not every great idea, because I'm married to an entrepreneur, not every idea we have needs to be a business. Sometimes it can be a fun idea that we talk about and we talk it through and decide not to pursue it. Sometimes it can be something that we pursue as a hobby and it fulfills us in that way. So not everything has to be a career, but if there is something that catches your soul on fire that makes you say, I would do this without money, and you feel like you can turn it into a viable business and you're called to do that, then by all means pursue it. There are a lot of people out there who can help you and support you and help you through what you don't know. Because when you start a business, there's a lot you won't know.
Yes,
Right?
like
Same thing with writing a book. If you write a
yes,
book, there's a lot you won't know, but that's okay. Your voice matters. Your point of view matters. There will be people who will think it's great, and there'll be people who say, "What is this trash? I don't like this." You know, that's okay too. It doesn't matter.
right, right. The people uh, who are your people will find it and will be drawn to it. Yes, yes.
Right.
Well,
Right.
of course, I resonate with everything you've said so far, and I could talk to you all day and night. But I know you are a busy woman and you have things to do. Is there any last word you want to leave that I didn't think to ask, or it's just something on your mind that you want to share before we tell people how they can get in touch with you?
I would just say if you are thinking about writing a book, because if you keep saying to yourself, I should write a book, every time you tell somebody something, I should write a book, then you should write a book and maybe hire somebody who can be your guide through the process and help you fill the knowledge gap of what it takes to go from idea to paper, because you do get a sense of satisfaction once you've written a book, that even if it's just you in quiet moments, you go, I did that thing. I did that, and then it's even icing on the cake when somebody says to you, "Oh my God, that changed my life." And you never know what stories and secrets and lessons that you have experienced in your life that somebody else needs to hear and know, that will change their life for the better. And so I just encourage you to do it and don't worry about what other people say. If I can tell you a very quick story, I know we're getting to the end, but I had someone say to me recently that she worked at a big law firm, and big law firm some people in big law tend to look down on lawyers who start solo practices and grow businesses because they followed a typical corporate path to their career. And this particular person I was talking to, she says, I had your book and it was so great. And I was about to meet with my mentor who had been in big law for years. And I said, oh, you have to hear what this person said in this book. And she says, I don't want to hear what some self-published solo lawyer had to say in her, book. And then the person started, no, and reading it. She goes, oh yeah, that is good or whatever. And to hear something like that, it's like, well, that wasn't very nice. but
No,
but also she's not my people. She's not my audience. She's not the person. And so she doesn't know what it's like to be in the shoes of a woman lawyer who's starting a business that her whole family depends on her being the breadwinner and making that business successful. And she's going to stay up all night reading. Well, probably won't take all night. It'll only take a couple hours to sit and cram and read this book. And she'll be taking notes on this book and it will change her life. And that to me, that's the person whose opinion matters.
yes,
Somebody else who's not my audience, it's okay. It doesn't matter to me that she felt that way. I don't know her. It just doesn't matter. Right. So that would be what I would leave people with is if it's on your heart, go do it. And don't worry about what other people think.
yes. I say yes to that.
Yes.
All right. All right. So tell people where they could be in touch with you and hear more about what you're doing, all the amazing things you're doing.
Thank you. So, Wealthy Woman Lawyer is the thing to remember. WealthyWomanLawyer.com is my website. WealthyWomanLawyer.com/league. LEAGUE is how you can find out about the Wealthy Woman Lawyer League. And also, you can follow me on Instagram at Wealthy Woman Lawyer. You can join me on Facebook at Wealthy Woman Lawyer, or connect with me on LinkedIn at Davina Frederick. I have Wealthy Woman Lawyer there as well, but on LinkedIn, you'll probably find me under Davina Frederick.
Oh,
So lots of ways to find me. Google, and I pop up in a lot of places. And if you like to listen to podcasts, add Wealthy Woman Lawyer to your podcast rotation.
I love it. Lots of ways to be in touch with you. Davina, it's been a joy talking with you. Thank you for sharing your time and wisdom today on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Dr. Robin. I've enjoyed it so much. Thanks for having me.
It's wonderful. Okay, everyone, if you want to hear more from me, you can reach me on my website, robinlowens.com, robinlowens.com. And if you're an author and you have your book and you want to expand your message beyond the book, and you've been thinking maybe it's time for me to create a course, well, I can help you with that. Go on over to my website and get my free training at createmasterfulcourses.com, and you'll find my training there. And until next time, this is Dr. Robin. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. If you enjoyed it, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Meanwhile, this is Dr. Robin signing off. See you next time.